Hi guys, Kev here. Hope your day is going well. Today I am going to hijack the Outspoken Coloreds channel to talk about a South Korean movie called The Dude in Me. This is a good action, comedy, romance movie for that days that you just want to enjoy a good movie. Spoilers ahead. So let's get into it.
Cat Spoon, Cat Spoon.
The protagonist of the film is the heir of the Hanho group and a well-known elite gangster, Pan-soo. In the beginning, we are introduced to his lavish lifestyle and loveless marriage to Seo-yeon. Pan-soo only married her because her father Mr. Han is the president of the Hanho group and an influential man. Seo-yeon is rich and spoiled and hasn't worked a day in her life, but she still feels entitled to her husband and father's money. She complains that her father is refusing to buy her a gallery that she really wanted. Pan-soo ignores her ridiculous demand and goes on about his day. In the office, he is informed of a carpenter who is refusing to evacuate his shop that needs to be destroyed for Pan-soo's next project. To get the job done, he invites his right-hand man Mr. Bang and asks him to get the carpenter out, one way or the other. Meanwhile, the carpenter, Jong-ki, is nervous, knowing that the thugs will use force to make him evacuate. His fears become reality when Mr. Bang comes to his shop and threatens to cut his arm off if he doesn't sign the papers. With no way out, the poor man gives up his shop. The next day, Pan-soo decides to go to an old ramen shop that used to be his favorite restaurant back in the day. Alongside him, a high school student Dong-hyun is also enjoying the noodles. Dong-hyun tries to pay but finds out that he forgot his wallet. When he apologizes to the restaurant's owner, she forgives him and claims that Pan-soo will pay for him out of generosity. The gangster is outraged by the bold lady but doesn't mind paying for the kid, even though he ate 4 bowls of ramen. The shop owner promises to give him a special gift in turn for his generosity. A while later, Dong-hyun is on the edge of a 2-story building, trying to retrieve a shoe from a pole. As he tries to reach for it, he loses his balance and falls on top of Pan-soo, who happens to be standing right below. When Pan-soo opens his eyes again, he finds himself on a hospital bed. A young nurse calls him a student and talks to him informally. Confused, he walks outside and is horrified to see his body lying down on another hospital bed. Before he can react, the carpenter Jong-ki launches at him, calling him his son. A confused Pan-soo looks into the mirror to finally realize that he has swapped bodies with the shy kid from earlier. Coincidentally, Jong-ki, who he threatened to kill the previous day, is Dong-hyun's father. When Pan-soo acts differently than his normal self and refuses to recognize his father, the doctor declares that he has something called retrograde amnesia. Pan-soo then recollects what the restaurant owner told him earlier and runs to meet her again. However, by then, the restaurant is being closed and the woman is nowhere to be found. In the following scene, we are introduced to Pan-soo's business rival Mr. Yang. Meanwhile, his rival Yang hears the news about him being in a coma. He is over the moon and plans to take advantage of the situation to kill Pan-soo. At night, Pan-soo returns home to his wife, who thinks he is an intruder. He tries to explain the situation but Seo-yeon calls the security and makes them kick him out of the house. He is then taken to the police station and accused of trespassing. His poor father is distressed because of his outrageous behavior. Thankfully for him, the police let Pan-soo free without much fuss because he is underaged. In the following scene, Pan-soo tries to wake up his body that is in a coma. Desperate to get his body back, he jumps on top of Dong-hyun. Just then, his right-hand man Mr. Bang enters the room and stops him. Pan-soo tries to make him understand that he is trapped in a kid's body but Bang thinks he is bluffing and kicks him out of the room. After being disrespected by his employees, Pan-soo returns to Dong-hyun's home with his father. The place is too small for his liking but he has 100 more problems to tend to. Jong-ki cooks him a plethora of dishes to accelerate his recovery. Initially, Pan-soo says that he doesn't eat like a glutton but a while later, the plates are all empty. He realizes that even though his mind is different, he is still in Dong-hyun's body which affects his appetite. Jong-ki believes that Dong-hyun was bullied into waking on the edge of the building, which resulted in the accident. The next day, he goes to meet his school principal. When asked about bullying, the principal claims that nothing of such sort happens in their school. Pan-soo sees through his lies, and as soon as he enters the classroom, a group of boys make fun of him and flip him off. Pan-soo instantly registers that Dong-hyun was an introvert who was made fun of all the time. During the lunch break, a girl named Hyun-young is also being bullied by popular kids. They mix her food with a cold drink and make her eat it. Eventually, they dump the entire plate of food on her. Pan-soo calls them out for it, angering the leader of the bullies, Tae-wook. Before Pan-soo can showcase his fighting skills, the teachers arrive and Tae-wook has to retreat. After school, the bullies stop Pan-soo again and try to intimidate him. In turn, he slaps them all with zero effort and simply walks away. Later that day, the bullies trouble another guy in the washroom. Just then, Pan-soo comes out from a stall and helps the poor guy. He also takes Tae-wook's phone away, promising to return it the next day. The bullies are so scared that they let him do whatever he wants. While going through the phone, Pan-soo sees a video of the day the accident took place. It is revealed that Tae-wook and his group had bullied Dong-hyun into getting on the edge. They are the reason he fell off the building and their bodies exchanged. The next day, Tae-wook's leader is beating him up for giving Pan-soo his phone that has the video on it. Pan-soo arrives and kindly asks the leader to never trouble anyone again, blackmailing him with the video. The bully has no way but to agree. Somewhere else, Pan-soo's wife Seo-yeon takes advantage of her husband's comatose state and starts dating younger men. Pan-soo's rival, Mr. Yang, gets a hint of this and blackmails her into joining hands with him. The two, together, plan Pan-soo's downfall. That night, Pan-soo goes to the hospital and meets Mr. Bang. He tells Bang everything about his past and proves his identity. The following day, Hyun-young bumps into him and drops her stuffed toy. He follows her behind to return it and happens to meet her mother, Mi-sun. To Pan-soo's utter shock, Mi-sun is his first love who he left to marry his current wife. He calls her by her first name, which surprises Mi-sun. After Pan-soo runs away, he remembers how he and Mi-sun used to spend their days together when they were young. When he meets Hyun-young the next time, he takes some of her hair to use for a parental DNA test. The results come out and Pan-soo finds out that Hyun-young is actually his daughter. Following that, he goes to meet Mi-sun and subtly asks her about her life. She tells him that she raised Hyun-young all on her own because her father was not a good person. Pan-soo feels awful that the people he loves had to go through so much because of his absence. Somewhere else, his current wife Seo-yeon goes to her father with fake reports of Pan-soo misusing the company's money. In reality, she was told to do so by Pan-soo's rival Mr. Yang. Her father believes her and starts to consider removing Pan-soo from the company once he gets out of the coma. Somewhere else, Pan-soo goes to a gym to lose weight and to get closer to his daughter who is learning self-defense in the same institution. Initially, she is skeptical and is about to leave, but Mr. Bang pretends to be the instructor and convinces her to stay. Starting that day, the father and daughter train together and begin getting along well. Eventually, Pan-soo loses weight and gets fit. The girls in the school, including the bullies, are surprised by his new persona. During the lunch break, Hyun-young's bullies stop her again. But this time, she teaches them a lesson and defends herself efficiently. The other students are stunned to witness her newfound confidence. That evening, Pan-soo goes to Mi-sun's restaurant again. While talking, she mentions her former lover who she wishes she should have killed. Pan-soo realizes she is talking about him and chokes on water. Mi-sun is helping a perverted customer when he touches her inappropriately. An enraged Pan-soo asks her to go inside and fights the perverts. Mi-sun suddenly stops him, inquiring why he is acting out of character. Pan-soo sits her down and finally tells her everything about switching bodies with Dong-hyun. Initially, she doesn't believe him, but Pan-soo challenges her to ask him anything that he would know. When he answers all the questions correctly, Mi-sun is in shock. Still, she asks him to go away from their lives as he did all those years ago. A flashback shows us young Mi-sun and Pan-soo meeting for the last time. He rudely informed her that he was getting married to his boss's daughter and asked Mi-sun to forget him. The following day, a popular guy from the school named Minyu invites Hyun-young to his birthday party. Hyun-young, who has never been called to a party, excitedly agrees to come, unaware of Minyu's actual intentions. After that, Pan-soo and Mi-sun meet at a restaurant where she bluntly tells him that she doesn't want him in their lives. He tries to win her over and kisses her in front of everyone. The people around them are shocked because to them, Pan-soo is half of Mi-sun's age. She pushes him away and slaps him in the face. Still, Pan-soo doesn't stop and follows her outside. Suddenly, he gets a call from his friend who informs him about the bully's plan to trouble Hyun-young at the party. Pan-soo quickly rushes to the party and arrives there to see Min-yu pouring a bowl of alcohol on Hyun-young. Angered to see his daughter crying, he fights all of the guys who are surrounding her. The girls who witness the fight fall head over heels for him. Hyun-young also takes a stand against Min-yu and kicks him into the pool. After that, the father and daughter leave. The following day, Mr. Bang informs Pan-soo that his wife is conspiring to remove him from Han-ho's list of potential heirs. Pan-soo writes a letter to his father-in-law Mr. Han and asks Mr. Bang to deliver it to him. Later that day, Pan-soo is walking down the street when one of the girls from his class asks him out. He claims that he doesn't date schoolgirls. Right after, Hyun-young arrives and asks him the same question. Horrified, Pan-soo tells her that he can never date her and walks away. At home, Mi-sun also finds out that her daughter wants to date her father. She orders Hyun-young to stay away from him. At night, Pan-soo's rival Yang breaks into the hospital to kill Dong-hyun. Just as he is about to do so, Dong-hyun wakes up out of the blue. Startled, Yang runs away. After waking from the coma, Dong-hyun finds himself in a strange body and runs to his father. Jong-ki thinks he is an intruder and is about to call the police when Pan-soo returns home. He explains everything to Jong-ki, who is still skeptical but agrees to believe them. Following that, Pan-soo asks for Dong-hyun's help to solve things with Mi-sun. The two go to her restaurant and pretend to have returned to their own bodies. As Dong-hyun apologizes to her as Pan-soo, Yang and his men come to the restaurant. He had followed Dong-hyun from the hospital and is here to kill him once and for all. Dong-hyun cries, begging them for his life, surprising Yang and his group. Pan-soo sends Mi-sun and Dong-hyun to another room and fights the thugs. But this time, they have come prepared for his attacks. Suddenly, Mi-sun comes out and opens a gas cylinder, threatening to blow up the entire place. Yang and his men have no choice but to run away. Because of the chaos, Mi-sun finds out that the guys were lying earlier. Still, she talks to Dong-hyun as Pan-soo and tells him about the hardships she faced because of his absence. The two hug in the end. Somewhere else, Mr. Han has found out that his daughter lied to get her husband in trouble and hide the fact that she has an extramarital affair. Han disowns her and refuses to give her an inheritance. He also asks Pan-soo to meet him instantly. Since Pan-soo cannot go in front of them himself, Dong-hyun goes in his place with a microchip in his ears. The chip works fine for a few minutes, but when Han asks him about his second family, it turns off. With no one to communicate to, Dong-hyun is alone to make Pan-soo decisions for him. He says that after returning from the hospital, he has realized that family is the most important thing in the world. Hence, he is removing himself from the Han-ho group to be with his family. Han respects his decision and lets him go. When Dong-hyun returns to the car, Pan-soo hugs him, thanking him for doing the right thing. But their happiness doesn't last long and an enraged Seo-yun hits them with her car. Pan-soo is severely injured and has to be taken to the hospital. As he is talking to his family on his deathbed, Dong-hyun falls unconscious. In the following scene, Pan-soo is in an operation theater. His surgeon is the same woman who caused the body swap. She asks him if he liked the gift and changes him back to normal. 6 months later, Dong-hyun, in his own body, returns to school. Everyone respects him and is nice to him. He and Hyun-young have started dating. Meanwhile, Pan-soo has bought a better place for Mi-sun to run her restaurant. All of them, including Jong-ki and Mr. Bang, work for her as employees. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on the notification, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.